In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back for another pointless episode of another pointless automotive podcast. So we deliver the goods and we don't promise anything. So it works out. No one wins. Frank,
Yeah,
how
that's a
you
great
doing?
exchange. Yeah,
Everyone
we take none
loses.
of your money and you get nothing in return. It's
You know
quite.
what? Fuck it. We're busting a Miller Lite. Let's go.
Oh,
Frank, how you doing, man? It's been a
I
while.
am good. I'm good. Let's see what's new. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what's not new.
What's not new? So we like to speak about the weird stuff quite a bit. And there was a weird I can't call it a car brand, even though it was a branding for sure. It was a subdivision of a very large company. And we love badge engineering. We've done a couple episodes at least talking about badge engineering. And I think this was one of the best executions of that, to be honest.
I agree, and I I try to convince myself
Mm,
that I'm not like just being some kind of weird homer
mm.
for this brand because it's not even a brand I have like any a real loyalty or affinity to. Yet I find
Sure.
myself kind of defending. I don't know why. Like I'm talking all secretive. Like nobody's read the fucking intro here.
Yeah.
Um, but I find myself defending Geo. Because I think they get a bit of a bad rap, and what I will say is I don't
hmm
know. Have you seen local automotive legend here in the Bay Area, Mr. Jason Camisa, just did a video on the Mercure
hmm
XR4 Ti and its European equivalent, superior equivalent, the
Whoa.
Sierra RS Cosworth.
Not at first, but in later guys. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Sierra.
in
The
the
Sierra
end,
did step ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
it was a tick and attack, and it was an interesting. They touched on the follies of trying to do the
Oof.
take an out of market product,
hmm
bring it in, quote
Yep.
unquote, Americanize it, and how that can and will go right or wrong. And so, with all of that in mind, is I think Geo did it maybe better. I don't want to say better than everyone, but maybe.
Geo, I mean, I think so. I think nothing but greatest hits, right? Like they pulled from some wonderful OEMs. They weren't obscure at all. These were proven cars. And, the whole reason, I like the backstory too. I like the backstory of why GM even thought of Geo, which is a wild thing to do. We're talking 80s, late 80s here. Small Japanese cars at this point weren't just affordable pieces of junk like when they first launched. They
Mm-hmm.
they weren't here just to undercut prices and have a subpar product. At the time, they gained all this momentum and were killing the domestics, right? And GM felt that. GM felt that big time. So what did they do? They went and rebadged the competition, which is
Yeah.
fuck, what a bold goddamn move. And the thing is, though, they kept it small. Like Geos are small vehicles, which I think is kind
Mm-hmm.
of cool. I think it's a kind of a neat approach. They didn't try to do a Camry, basically, is what I'm saying. They did the little Camry. More on that in a second. But
Yeah.
I kind of think it's cool how they targeted the small cars because that was the sector they couldn't break into. And boy, dude, just going to the source, man, going to like the Japanese OEMs and straight up rebadging their cars without changing shit, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth.
Well, I mean, and they did it in a fairly smart and cagey way. And whether you
Mm,
think the final product and execution was a win or a loss, or you think the experiment was good or bad or what have
mhm.
you, is they took, if you look at the products, and we'll kind of maybe go down each one individually and talk about them.
We
Some are
should.
more successful than others, but if you look at like what they chose to bring in
Mhm.
under the Geo umbrella were one of two things. Most of them, with the exception of one of the Geo nameplates, were vehicles sold out of market mostly out of market. Some were still sold in market, but largely out of market by manufacturers that did not have a particularly strong dealer network in the United States, right? They weren't going to Honda and rebadging a Civic. Like I believe Rover or Triumph did in the 80s.
I mean,
the Blade or what have you.
God, the Prism's close though, doing a Corolla though.
That's the one outlier. And the only reason because that's the trick, right? Because if you say, hey, Honda, I want to white label a Civic and call it the Geo Backshot, right? Great.
Decidedly.
We'll do that. Odd choice, but sure. What's in that for Honda, right? Why would Honda badge engineer something for a competitor? And realistically, if that competitor wants to be competitive with that product, they probably have to undercut Honda. So why would Honda do that? The reason Suzuki or Isuzu might do that is because they do not have a dealer network, an established real deal dealer network in the United States. If they want to sell cars in the United States without having to spend a huge amount of coin building a dealer network like Honda did and Toyota did, and they spent decades doing that, right? Mitsubishi to a certain extent,
right?
And even a lesser extent, that's why they ended up badge engineering stuff to Chrysler. Is you do this, you say, okay, yeah, we want to sell a Gemini in the United States. I guess we're going to let GM do that for us. They'll put they'll put a Geo or Asuna badge on it and sell that in North America. Great.
And that, man, it's true, right? Like they get their foot in the door, right? Is what you're saying. But it's also that brand recognition, because when you pop the hood on your little global badged vehicle with a Chevy bow tie in the middle, you start seeing names on all the key components. Like, what the fuck's the Isuzu stuff, or what the fuck's the Suzuki stuff? And that's kind of the first introduction to a lot of like US buyers, what these brands are. Maybe you look it up. Maybe you break open your parents' encyclopedia from 1960. It doesn't have anything. So you go to your neighbor's house to have a modern one. Maybe a funky
Isuzu.
Yeah, Isuzu. Wow, this is a very successful company in Japan, a very large company in Japan. Or maybe you start on a large tractor trailer truck, or like another like moving truck. Yeah. These brands did have cachet outside of the US, but it kind of worked to get their feet in the door in the US market, like you were saying. But also, I feel like it kind of backfired a little bit on GM, because these ended up being discounted versions of the more well-known, especially with the Corolla. I feel like the Prism was always sold cheaper because they didn't sell as well as the Corolla, right?
Yeah.
So you could get a Corolla for a cheaper price, just deal with the weird ass badging, you know?
And I do want to circle back at that later, because we'll talk about more about the cars, and then, but I think the capstone, the way to end our talk on Geo today is, I think, yes, it's like, okay, maybe for GM, right? It ultimately, they had to as I said, they had to underprice some of the competition a little bit because of this Geo badge for most of their products, right? Like they were undercutting an Isuzu, they were undercutting a Suzuki, right? So like it wasn't that big a deal. But at the end of the day, maybe we'll talk about it at the end here, I think the big losers ended up being Isuzu and Suzuki.
Sure. Yeah.
Not General Motors in this case. But you mentioned the Prism. Yeah. So then it's just like, okay, well, why would Toyota agree to this, right? Like, why would Toyota do this? And really, there's only one answer, and it's in our backyard. And that's the Numi plant.
Yep.
So that was all. It was all basically like, okay, yeah, we'll agree to make this. We'll partner up. Toyota's going to partner up with GM to build cars in North America out of the Numi. God, what's the Numi? Numi's an acronym, and I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, NUMMI right here in beautiful Fremont, California.
California. Now the Tesla plant.
Yeah.
But that's why. That's why Toyota agreed, because it's like, hey, question. Like, and that's why the Pontiac Vibe exists, and some of the other platform stuff that was going on between GM, because that was a partnership, and that was part of that agreement. Yeah,
we've teased around it. Let's punch the point home. Here's the lineup for Geo. Metro,
Famously.
Rectrum, a Spectrum,
Mhm.
Prism. That was intentional. Storm and Tracker.
Yeah.
Those 5 vehicles. Let's do the rip
Should
off
we
the
start?
mask, Scooby Doo. Like, who are you really over there? Let's do it.
Should we start with the redheaded stepchild, the 1 year only
We
car though
should.
no one talks about?
The Gemini, as
Spectrum.
as some would
Yeah.
know. Yeah, the Isuzu Gemini.
Yes. And yes, which was also the Stylus, which was also the Geo Spectrum, which was also the Chevrolet Spectrum.
For 1 year. 1 year, Chevy Spectrum.
It was the Geo Spectrum for a single year, 1989.
Yeah,
Geo's
that's
first
wild.
year. Yep.
Yeah,
I don't
Geo
know
only.
if
Dude, we
feel
didn't
like
even
I've
say
probably
it.
ever seen one. Yeah.
Geo, how many Geos are still out there? They only ran for 8 years, 89 to 97.
Yep.
Which is, when you think about it, it's like, what? They had some good quality products, clearly, because there's still a shit ton of them out there. Obviously, Prisms are out there, Metros, a lot of trackers still. Spectrums, not really. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I
not a
don't.
lot at all. I don't
If it was
think I've
that
ever.
successful of a product, they would have it would have not been a 1 year only thing.
Storms are super, super rare to find in any kind of.
You used to see them a lot. Like I
Used
used
to
to
see
see
'em.
them pretty frequently.
Yep.
And they would seem to be a good product, right? The I guess we're just going right to storm talk.
We should.
Which is, I mean, that car is deeply related to, I mean, it's a Gemini offshoot.
It's an Isuzu Impulse.
Right. Would you call it a Gemini twin? Hey,
he's a little
astrology-
smaller, right?
astrology
Like
talk.
2-door only. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it's all based, and it's funny when you were talking about like, yeah, imagine somebody popping the hood of their storm, and there's all these like
Isuzu
Isuzu badging, and you're like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Mhm.
Imagine somebody doing that on their Lotus M10 M100 Elan,
right?
and they pop, what the fuck? And like that guy's more apt. The Lotus guy is more apt to pop the hood and poke around and show it off at some car. Oh yeah, I got this new Lotus. It's the new one. And they pop the hood and it's like, what's the 1 point? What is Isuzu? Yeah.
Yeah. How dope would it be if we got the Impulse RS as a Storm?
A storm would come in. This would have been they had a GSI.
Yep,
right?
that was the spice. So that was the equivalent of an Impulse XS.
Right. So the 1.8
with 140
dual overhead cam,
130, 140 ponies.
I think 140. I think.
Yeah.
And then what the RS, was that good for 160?
Yeah, with a turbo.
Yep, turbo all-wheel drive.
I passed on one for my famous Impulse RS story back in May. This had to be, it's like 20 years ago. It's the one where they used a Mountain Dew can to patch up some of the intercooler piping that had failed. And I was like, I can't buy this car. And they only wanted $1,400. In retrospect, I'd buy it like for twice that amount now.
They couldn't have even like cut the Mountain Dew can and turned it inside out, so you couldn't tell it was specifically a Mountain Dew can.
They intentionally left though. They probably went out of their way to get a Mountain Dew can, to tell you the truth.
Was it Code Red?
No, that didn't exist.
Code Red line. The Game Fuel. So the thing with those cars are very cool. I would
cool.
I would love to push a Geostorm on a rally. I think that would be a hoot.
A wagon. Wagon back, if you will.
Wagon back. But those are very cool. Impulses are cool too.
Very cool.
I think I'd prefer a Storm, if I'm being honest. I think I like the styling a little better than on an Impulse.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's not. There's no clear winner there, but I think
they're both
excellent.
absolute winners. But yeah,
and,
either way,
yeah, those are cool. You know what? So I did a tiny bit of poking around, thinking about thinking about the Gemini, and you know what I realized is there was a version of that car sold in the 70s in North America that I never knew, like a deep cut badge engineering version of that car that I never knew about. Were you aware of the
Piazza?
I think it did like no.
Okay, so we're not.
This was like 70. I think they sold them here like 75 to 79.
Okay. With an Isuzu badge?
Kind of. It's very fucking obscure. I did not know I know obscure shit. I did not know about this obscure
Hmm.
car. It was they changed the badging around a couple of times, but when it originally came out in the mid 70s, it was the Buick Isuzu Opal,
Okay.
where it was a first generation Gemini
Hmm.
sold in North America under the a Buick name and as a captive import badge engineered Buick
Okay.
called the Buick Isuzu Opal. They eventually dropped the Isuzu part and then it was just the Buick Opal,
Okay.
which is confusing, but
Was
that's
this
what
a
they did.
was this a cult fighter? Is that
Basically,
okay?
yeah.
That
And it
makes
was,
sense.
you can get it as a four door, and then they had a two-door sport coupe, I think, after the first couple of years.
All right.
Had like a 100 carbureted, like 1.8 liter, good for like 80 horsepower,
Sounds
nothing
about right.
crazy.
Yeah.
3-speed automatic or a 5-speed with overdrive. And yeah, just an interesting thing that was, yeah, like we got I was aware of the
Cool.
Colts and the Plymouth Crickets, but that was one I did not know existed. And
Weird.
that was an earlier edition that was pre Geo. And there were a lot of pre Geos, right? Like I
Interesting,
own a
man.
proto Geo in the Sprint Turbo,
You do, yeah. And then we
which is
had
the Metro.
the Metro, and then the Metro also had this was a Suzuki Swift, is all that was. And then we had a spicy version, the Swift GTI, which later got the
Mhm.
eye sliced off by those scoundrels over at Volkswagen, and it became the Swift GT. Pretty cool
Mhm.
little car as well, super rare. But yeah, those are super dope. Even the Metros are cool. You had that Metro convertible,
I
and that
did.
was dangerous at any speed.
Yeah. Yeah, it truly
Jesus.
was. And what's funny is I feel
Mm.
like the Swift Turbo is
I love
somehow
how you called
less
it a Swift Turbo, but it's still somehow
Turbo
accurate.
Swift.
It's
Yeah.
it, even though it's a sprint, it's
Yeah,
still the same.
whatever.
It's
Yeah.
all the same, baby.
And what's interesting is I think that car, like if I doing a little bit of homework on the Sprint, was that car in like the late 70s was like a co-development thing with GM. Like GM was developing it, and then eventually we're like, we're just not going to build it. And so
Hmm.
they gave the project over to Suzuki, who was a partner in the development.
Wow,
And that's why like it kind of looks like a Chevy more than it looks like a Suzuki
it does. Yeah.
because it was a GM product, and they're like, fuck it, we're not going to build this, and they just gave it to them, and they're like,
Mm.
here's part of the agreement, we're going to sell it here as a Chevy, and so it was like a weird back and forth captive import, and those same guts, ended up in the Metro, which is very much the most famous Geo, for
Yep.
better or for worse. You
Yeah,
know,
the Metro was going the way of the Dodo until we had the recession in 2007, 2008. And for some reason, the Metro had this wonderful resurgence, and that reason was gas prices, people trying to save money. The Geo Metro famously can get around 50 miles per gallon. Parts are dirt
yeah,
cheap, easy to maintain. Those things like came out of the woodwork. Like people had them rotting in their backyards. They're like, holy shit, those people are paying 8 grand for a Geo Metro that can run. They
that
go
was
fix up their
weird.
Metros, and the market was flooded with them.
That
I,
was
I
very weird.
Without that, Frank, and that timing, because that timing was right when those things were starting to be retired. I question the Geo Metro existing today and even like half the numbers it exists in, right? Like just
Mm-hmm.
what an interesting string of events to keep a weird car in circulation.
Yeah, because they had that, what was it, the XFI trim
Yep.
level that was, God, I think like 58 miles a gallon highway or something.
And then you had the
Um,
hypermilers that were crushing those numbers with a few aero mods and
uh-huh.
reverse performance mods. Cool shit, dude. Like
Yeah.
really cool shit.
Yeah, the hypermile community got involved and, they were putting spats on the rear and low rolling resisting tires and if you put them to 90 psi, you'll coast forever and tailgating. Can you imagine tailgating
No.
a big rig in one of those with those brakes and
Fuck no,
those
dude.
tires?
What was the crash test rating on a Geo Metro? It had to be like -2.
Oh yeah, it was
Had to
just
be like Jesus. Don't wear your
yeah.
seatbelt. Please don't wear your seatbelt. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, you have the same like being ejected actually has the same survivability rate as being like safely secured with the seat
Horrible.
back and everything.
But dude, yeah, for real, like that was the thing. They were selling during 2008 for more than MSRP in a lot of cases, which was just
Yeah.
a car that basically was about to go away.
mhm.
I think that's such a cool story.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are interesting, and I do think that the Metro was too good at its mission
mm,
of being
cheap.
cheap,
Yeah.
lightweight, fuel economy misers,
Yeah.
because it kind of painted the Geo. That is the car that cemented Geo's reputation for being piece of shit transportation. And I think it's largely unfair.
Yeah.
But I think that ended up, like, if you just said, "Oh, I drive a Geo," it was just like it was almost a laughable thing.
It kind of still is, except they
Yeah.
have a pretty fond following, right? The Prism,
Yeah, it's come
say,
around.
yeah, the Prism's like the polar opposite of that. The Prism, for the longest time, was a way to get a affordable, Corolla without paying the Corolla tax, right?
Mhm.
Because Corollas have always, like, the conversation still happens. If someone, which I know is not a car person, comes to me, Corolla is usually on that list, right? You're going to
Mhm.
shoot 3 car makes and models out. Toyota Corolla is usually going to be on that list. It was the way to get a Corolla. And that year, like that vintage of Corolla was very good. Those are still on the road. Still are the Prisms, right? So like that's just what it stands for. And today, a Prism is still probably half the price of a
Boy.
similar Corolla.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a million. There's a million if you look.
Yeah, probably, because it's like
Half the price for sure.
but it kind of, on the used market, once they're past 5 years, it kind of always was that. It was the thing, right?
Yep.
It's kind of like, if probably the closest equivalent is like, oh, don't get a Matrix, get a Vibe.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But even then, Pontiac has more brand cachet than Geo.
We're talking about the Corolla, which is one of the best selling cars of all time.
Right. Yeah. And so when I was working for Progressive Insurance, there was a guy that I worked with who he was using his personal car, because you would either get a company car, one of the ones that said Progressive all up and down the side of it, a Ford Escape, or you can use your personal car.
Right.
Which I did for, and it expensed the miles, which I did for a little bit until I was expensing like $1,800 a month. And they're like, "Bro, you're just driving too much. Like, you can't." No, you're
bankrupting us.
You're taking a company car. And I was using my WRX for that, actually. But this guy I worked with, he had a light blue, I think it was a 94 Geo Prism stripper model, manual windows, manual locks, no air conditioning, manual steering.
Okay. Wow.
The only option it had was automatic transmission. That was it. And he was just, his territory was a lot smaller than mine, so he was able to like barely stay under the radar of like, you're expensing too much.
Right.
And he paid that car off every 3 months. Like, it paid for itself.
Oh, hell yeah,
bang,
dude.
Bang, bang. And this was in like 2009, 2010. So during the ripple effect of the downturn in the economy. And it was just like the perfect car for that mission.
Hell
and yeah. And he got it for half off because it was a Geo, not a Toyota.
That is dope. And there's still some spicy ones out there. GSIs are cool. You can get a 4AGE in their Geo Prism. I think that's super neat.
Yeah.
And you can get a hatchback version of that, which is like a super, super rare
Those are cool
machine. Definitely super cool cars. It's cool also where the cars are all made, because they're made in 3 different places. You already said Numi for the Prism, right? Do you know where the other cars were made? The other 2 locations?
Boy,
fun facts.
The Isuzus were built in Japan, right?
That would be the Spectrum and Storm. Where else? All the others were made in one facility?
All the Suzukis.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Suzukis were built. I would have guessed Japan, but I'm guessing that I would have guessed wrong.
So if you looked under the hood of my Geo Tracker, you'd know this. They were all made at the Cami plant in Ontario, Canada.
Oh, you're right.
So they're all from Canada, which is kind of cool. Yeah, like I thought too. I'm like, man, these are probably built. So apparently, at one point they did start making the trackers in Japan when the Kami plant shut down in Canada, which is
Oh,
kind of cool.
okay.
So if you get some of those late model trackers, they were actually built in Japan. It's Suzuki. Well, where
So
Suzuki's.
those were those after 99 or when they had the model
I
refresh?
think they were the model refresh right before they became the Chevy tracker with that
Yeah.
ungodly front grille. Let's just talk about how disgusting that is.
Yeah.
It's like a melted, the blob sucked on it too long, S10
Hmm.
Blazer kind of chromified
Right.
grill put on a
Yeah.
sidekick. Ugh.
And then they became in 99 they became based off of the was they did they switch over to being based off the Galant Vitara or
I don't think they ever did. I think
okay.
they stayed. The tracker stayed. The tracker just became more Chevy.
Yeah.
As it became
Right.
badged as such. But yeah, those three locations where all those products were made. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
You would have thought they were all like from the motherland, but
Mhm.
nope. All kinds of locations.
Well, do you want to talk about your car?
Oh, the tracker? That little
Yeah.
nasty girl. I love that thing, man.
Probably the most lovable of all of them. Of
Yeah,
all
and
the Geo products.
it's really cool that both the Geos we've owned are convertibles and two-wheel drive.
This is true.
Just saying. Very different though. Dude, I love that thing, man. And like I said, I've been talking about sidekicks and trackers for too long. I think probably from episode 5, I mentioned how I need to have one of these. So it's up on the jack right now.
Jacking it.
I have literally, dude, I have a mountain of parts. So I sent you that picture of all those
Yeah.
boxes barricading the front door. The next day it was the same thing. So I have like everything for that, including a new top. So cool. Those things. You want to talk about a car that was everywhere. I think the Geo Tracker's death grip on, lower class America as a fun beach vehicle or whatever, mild
Mhm.
off-roader in the mid 90s to late 90s, probably height in 96, 97 to tell you the truth, was unbreakable. Trackers were fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere.
And I feel like the trackers were more successful than the sidekicks.
They totally were. And I
don't-
think they sold a shit ton more, to tell you the truth.
It feels like it.
Yeah,
anyways.
no, I think so. I think Suzuki didn't. I don't think there were that many Suzukis because again, the dealer network was pretty small. And every time I look up the sidekicks, there's way fewer in existence than the trackers. Same vehicle, right? Let's be honest. It's the exact same vehicle. The trackers had a cooler interior though. Let's talk about those cool seats.
Yeah.
Dude,
God.
good.
They're just so emblematic of the era.
Yeah.
Like
No
they
other
just
era
really,
but the 90s could create something like a Geo Tracker.
yeah,
Absolutely
they're just so playful,
Mhm.
so yeah, like it's just I if you're anywhere and like a tracker rolls up and 4 of your homies hop out of it, impossible to not smile.
Oh,
It's
driving
it's
it,
impossible to not smile.
dude. I'll never forget. Me and my son step in this thing. We go for a drive. The whole time we're laughing and punching each other because it was so goddamn good, dude. It's literally it's a lifted Miata. It's so fun. 80 horsepower. 80 horsepower. I'm going 80 down the highway. We're laughing. The thing is tracking perfectly.
Tracker name.
Tracker joke.
Yeah.
But what the fuck, dude? The argument for lightweight. And it's such a blast.
And it's funny because I feel like people look at, oh, it's just like a knockoff Jeep. But I promise if you hopped in a YJ,
Yeah.
a 2.5 AMC powered YJ
At 80 miles an hour.
at any miles per hour,
Right. But especially
it will not be as
especially at 80.
playful. It will not be. It just won't have the road holding, and you can make the well, it's better off road, and like, okay, sure,
Is it?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'll even say likely stock to stock, but
Potentially.
not like, let's say it's 15% better off road,
Yeah.
while the little tractor's 98% better on road, and you're using it on road 98% of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what a golly, I the Samurai gets all the pub, but I still think the Tracker's the better.
Dude, fuck that noise. The Samurai's cool as shit. All they do is take tracker engines and put them in them anyway. So let's go to the source.
Right.
to be honest. But this one, dude, honestly, I'm kind of glad this isn't a 4x4 because it's a little too nice to take like mudding and beat up too bad. It really
Yeah.
is insanely clean. I
Right.
do
But
want
great to
to.
just throw down camping trails and
Oh,
and
hell
fire
yeah.
trails and stuff like that where you're
Just for
nothing
fun. But
over a 5% incline.
I want to find a rougher 4x4 is my next one. Probably a sidekick, maybe even a
Yeah.
4 door to mix it up. But I do want to get one for off roading because now I get it. I get how fun it would be to like throw that thing into 4 low and just put some mutters on there, dude. Just go for it, man.
Yeah.
Slight lift, 2-inch
Just
lift.
just yoke up an Amigo.
All right. I
Yeah.
think the Amigo's that's another weight class for sure. But
Yeah, it's a middleweight
I love
versus yours
those
is a
things
lightweight.
too. I love those things too. But yeah, I'm definitely like I'm sold. Like I met my hero and it wasn't a letdown. Like it's such a fun truck, dude. When I get it finished, I want you to drive it. You're gonna like
I was
shit
gonna say
yourself. You're gonna be
I've
like, "I need
never
one."
driven one, but I'm just picturing doing it, and
You're gonna giggle.
I'm
I
already
can't
giggling,
stop.
and I
Yeah.
don't.
It's so fun,
It's
dude. It's so fun. It's so simple. I don't even have a tack in mine, and it's a manual. It's like all the things I love about a cheap car. I got it's the stripper. It's the 8 valve. It doesn't have anything fancy. It's TBI. It's
I feel
robust.
like you need to find an early 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, like digital aftermarket tack
Right.
or something like that. Like it's got to be period.
That'd be cool.
It's got to be, yeah.
I just
that
rev
would be
it
rad.
until it sounds a certain way, and I feel like I'm not gaining any momentum.
And valve float, and
yeah.
which probably
But
happens at like 4,800 RPM.
Yeah, those
Full valve
motors
float.
are so robust, dude. There's like no known issues with them. And then later, the 16 valve, you get like 92 horsepower, which is significant. So I'll get like, I'll aim for a later 4x4 Suzuki for sure. But dude, I can't wait to get this one finished because it's going to be bright white top. I'll do the wheels white. Everything's beautiful. I'm going to give that thing to you and you're going to like giggle the whole. It's such a fun truck, dude. Like,
Man.
you'll get it. You'll get it instantly. And plus the price point these things can be had at is just it's an absolute
especially in
steal.
two-wheel drive mode.
And it's simpler. I don't have to worry about like a transfer case failing or
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Nothing.
perfect for what it is. And it's
Can't
like
stop, won't
honestly,
stop.
you don't find them that clean often, so I had to move on this one, but yeah, I want to find a rougher one in the future for like fun off-road because I would just lose my shit and getting that thing in some mud. I would love it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that sounds fun. And it's just I love, I know like last episode I talked about like, oh, supercharged car, it'd be cool to get a DB7. But like a DB7, even like a cheap one with miles or whatever,
High 20s.
it's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
Let's say high 20s, right?
Mhm.
It's a lovely thing. You kind of it's a little bit too stodgy and special and limited of a thing to actually ever feel truly carefree in it.
Yep.
If I was worth 50 times what I am, then maybe I can be carefree in it, but I'm not that guy. That is a car that you can't help but feel carefree in it.
Sure. Yeah.
Is the tracker. And so there's so much value in that.
Yeah.
That's hard. It's kind of hard to measure. And so I'm very jealous of you on that one. The more I stew on it, the more
look, man, you can
envious I am.
You can break into the social economic stratum at any time, bro. It's a fucking geo tracker. But
bro, I kind of have it though in hatchback form with the Suzuki Cultus.
You do, but it's just the fact that I could turn down a fucking rough ass dirt road, like, and actually do some 4-wheeling with 2 wheels.
That's what we need to do. We need to trade Suzuki products.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get some wheel time. If I don't get it finished by the time I need to review your car, but I'm definitely, as soon as I'm done, I'm gonna plop this thing in your hands because you need to have some fun with it.
Yeah, fantastic,
great truck. You know what? Maybe I'm just saying. We do Suzuki's next. I get the. I'll go for Sidekick. You get the Grand Vitara.
Oh, the Grand Vitara. I could.
That would be it will do off roading.
I already owned the one Vitara.
True. Was it a Gland?
It was a Gland Vitara.
Didn't have the 4-wheel drive low, did it though?
It did.
Oh, okay.
It did. It had the 2.5 V6.
Okay.
4-door, silver over gray. I didn't own it that long. If it wouldn't pass smog, so I bought it for like $1,000. I did all 4 O2 sensors, and then it was happy. And then I sold it for like $3,500 to a lovely like 23-year-old French girl.
That's
who
right. I
worked
remember
in
this.
Napa.
Yep.
And she came and she paid me in like 1s and 5s and 10s and 20s, and then like
baguettes and
then
French
like
kisses.
Exactly, yeah, baguettes and like an amazing amount of like Lucy's. Um, and that's not a euphemism. I mean cigarettes. And then also like in Venmo, it was this like menagerie, and her friend had to give her some money. It was a whole thing, but they drove off into the sunset, and it was a pretty good car. It was decent. So yeah, I can do a Grand Vitara, maybe an
cool.
XL7. I'm feeling like I
Dude,
want 3 rows in my life.
XL7s can be had for nothing.
Free.
And they're
free.
in good shape. They held up really well.
And they're pretty good off road.
They're literally a Land Cruiser with a cloth interior and a significant
some subtle differences.
Digit of cash off of the top. Yeah. They're
they sell for 15%.
Yeah,
of a 100
of the
series.
Value of not 15% off, 15% of the
15% of the value. No, that's exactly it.
They're cool,
get it for
man.
85% off.
Trust me, I've looked way too long and hard at those before. XL7s, super cool.
They're
truck.
basically free.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's
off.
your final thought on Geo? Like,
so yeah, dude. We think back to this period. I think at the time they were considered pretty cheap cars. All the Geos, because they were all affordable. That fact is you can't dispute. But in fact, they were all successful. They were all successful cars. I think they each were well received. I mean, the Spectrum, probably the least amount of light is shined on that car.
Yeah,
it's kind of there, right? It showed up, but every one of those other ones are killers, dude. I think a Storm is cool. I think a Prism is just, if you want to get a cheap, affordable car,
transportation,
get a Prism. Metros are super fun. They're starting to be realized, instead of just being economical, they're viewed as a fun, kind of quirky, like silly car. And I like that. The Trackers, there's a good following for those. The Sidekick and Tracker community is very strong. So, dude,
and they're all pretty reliable.
Yeah, that's it. Because they're all Japanese cars in their hearts. So, yeah, dude, I'm a huge fan. I think Geo friggin' ruled in retrospect. I think they kind of just killed it.
Yeah, Geo was a cool project. It was, as I said before, I think GM got the better of that exchange, right? Because they got all of those sales,
right?
And then while Isuzu was busy trying to sell trucks and then occasionally sell cars, they were selling more cars as their competitors than they were of their own brand. And I think because of that, you ended up with, they kind of stepped on their own dick by doing that. Because you look now, they're out of the market. You look at Suzuki now, they're no longer in the market. They pushed along as far as they can. Suzuki had the Kizashi there at the end. And Isuzu.
This guy's always fighting to get a Kizashi reference.
One day, get a Kizashi in my hand.
That's your play? I don't know. I think I go for that Aereo wagon first. I go for an SX4 all-wheel drive manual first.
I saw an SX4 in the wild today, sedan.
They're out there.
SX4.
No, sedan is fucking ugly.
Oh, it was not good.
It
was dark blue, had wheel covers on it.
Gross.
And then Isuzu's their death rattle was to be just like a GM. Like GM was the bigger partner, and they just took the soul of both those companies, which is sad. Suzuki's still around doing bikes and stuff.
Yeah, but they sold their shit to Honda, trucks. Man. We had the SLX for Acura, and we had the Passport for Honda. So Honda and Acura both took some Isuzu products.
Yeah, but at the end, I think it was it ended up being a short-term good, but a long-term bad, I think, for both of those companies. Right. And GM just they were the bigger partner, and they kind of used that to their advantage, which is kind of a shame, because I would love to see, I could not tell you a single current Suzuki or Isuzu offering out of market.
I can. I bet there's still a Swift.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right there.
Yeah. So I have a life goal now, is to own one of each of the Geo cars, starting off
Okay.
with Tracker. So of course I want to get
And
a
I've
cool
owned a
version.
Metro,
You have
so
owned a
I've owned
Metro.
one.
I do want
Gotta
to
get that
own like a
Storm.
cool version of each one, right? Like a Storm GSI or the
Yeah.
wagon. The wagon back would be cool.
Mhm.
Prism, I do want to get a GSI if I go that way, which leaves
Sure.
me. I don't know. Tracking down a Spectrum might actually be the most challenging thing to do here.
Yeah.
Swifts are hard to find too, and of course, I want a Swift like GTI or
Yeah, you
GT.
got to get the Swift GT. Yeah, those are cool.
Ooh. It's
Those
gonna
are
be a hard
genuinely
list.
cool.
This is a hard checklist.
It
It's
is.
a
Yeah,
really hard
that's a tough
checklist.
one. I mean, the Metro is going to be the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
Golly, hold on. I did a quick look here. Geostorm. Here we are.
No,
Oh, what the fuck?
you'll probably see that shitty wagon I saw.
No,
a
this
couple
is
weeks
in
ago.
Hayward. It,
Oh, I
it
saw
just
that.
got listed
I saw
22
that.
hours ago.
Manual.
Manual.
Mm-hmm.
God, the photos are brutal. I can't
just
tell what
saved
trim
it.
level it is.
It's not. It's the base.
Yeah, it looks like it's the base.
It's not a GSI.
But it's got manual windows.
There was something I didn't like about it. It didn't pass.
I mean,
smog.
the photos look like it's
There's something
was
to it.
taken
Salvage
in a. No, it doesn't say anything. But the photos looks like is sprayed down like in a fucking pick and pull.
Yeah, I literally for proof,
$1,500.
it's literally
$1,500.
it's saved at the top of my saved list. Right,
What are we
look at this.
doing?
We are the same. We are the
What are we
same creature here.
Okay.
Yeah, 22 hour goes, $1,500. Runs good, clean title, tags expired. This is it. Tags expired January 2024.
Okay, so they're a year and change out.
So
you're
she
gonna
doesn't pass
owe
smog.
one,
She
two-
has some issues.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
that means.
$1,000. So come get it.
Fuck, do we need this?
No,
It's
I think we
hosed
hold
off,
out.
so the paint's gone.
I think it's flat as fuck. I think we hold out.
I don't know.
I think we find
It's
the
a
best one on
manual.
the. I think we find the best one on the globe. Get it, Geo, for like $4,500.
I still
In
don't
like,
get it.
it's going to be in like Portland.
The
It's got
interior looks
the
super
logo,
clean.
the Geo logo.
The interior.
Globe.
Frank.
I
This
know.
is good video.
I know. It looks like 130.
I could scoop this for $1,000.
Now
Let's go. $1,000
I got 5 on it.
Let's go. Let's go. Get your fucking couch. Get your couch changed, baby. We're buying a Geostorm.
Let's fucking go. There's a storm a brewing.
Geostorm.
All right, maybe. Maybe hard maybe.
It's a really bad idea.
It's a terrible idea, but you know, all the best cars come from a Hayward pick and pull.
Beggars can't be choosers. Also, so can we just rant real quick? Like,
let's do it.
For fuck's sakes, guys, do not spray your goddamn cars down with a hose and take pictures. We know what you're doing.
Yeah.
We know. That ain't shiny paint. That's water. And we can see all the water on the ground. We can see that you just sprayed it or after a rainstorm. Cut the shit. I'm sick of it, dude. I'm sick of it.
Yeah. When I was at Cars and Bids, like that was a whole thing where it was a requirement. If your car is wet at all, even like it's barely starting to sprinkle during your photos, can't use them. Sorry, like hard pass. Like we're not doing this.
I hate it. There
was one. Oh, I'll have to find it later. There was one photo shoot that one of my sellers, I connected them with a photographer, and they did this photo shoot in like the Pac Northwest, and it was on
That's tough.
It was on a JDM 80 series Land Cruiser, modded, lifted, and stuff. And during the photo shoot, it was like a torrential downpour, and he finished out the shoot and delivered to my guys. They're like, "Oh, we can't use these." I was like, "Bro, look at this. It looks so badass. It was like perfect for that truck." And there were some other photos that were there in the dry to like show the paint wasn't fucked.
That's enough.
And it was like,
if you have
like,
the dry photos, I would
like this looks sick. It looks so cool. And so they're like, I begged into it, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll try it on this one. They're like, we just don't want to set a precedent of like, well, people can point at it, be like, well, this one was wet. I was like, dude, this is defensible. Like, look how sick this looks. And they ran with it, and like half the comments were like, dude, this photo shoot is dope.
That's
because it was in like torrential downpour.
But
it was
bro,
like,
side of the
lights
road
on. It was so sick.
Side of the road hose spray.
Yeah, or
don't buy them.
Like the one where it's in like the $5 spray and pray car wash. It's in that like archway, and it's like got the foam on the wheels, and you're like, come on, man. I know you just bought that out of a fucking tow yard, drove it straight there, hosed it off, and took photos of it.
Yep, with their phone.
Gonna title jump it. Yeah, like I got.
Don't do it, dude. I hate. That's probably my least favorite thing. Right?
Yeah.
The hose down. We'll call it the old hose down.
The hoses are down.
Cool.
Very cool. Do
Quiz
you want to
time?
embarrass me publicly with the quiz game?
Oh, quizzes. Okay, I can embarrass you
Yeah.
that way too.
Oh, well,
Let me pull
just-
something up as you
you have
explain.
you just have like terabytes of dick pics of me that you just, like,
I was gonna say I don't have that, but I've got tons of butt cheek spreads for some reason.
just full spread.
Yeah, it's just full of golden eagle.
Honcho. What was his name from God, John C. Reilly's name from the porn star name from, that wasn't Step Brothers. It was
it was not Step Brothers.
Was it Talladega Nights?
I don't think so.
Where he's like, yeah, I had to go do like,
oh, maybe it was Talladega Nights, yeah.
I went by the name. I was Mike Honcho. It was they were doing had me doing weird stuff, pulling my butt cheeks apart. Yeah, good times.
Okay,
never go full Mike Honcho.
Tell
you dig it up. I'll make this quick because I spent too much time talking about Mike Honcho. It's our print ad quiz game. If somehow you're picking us up for the first time, episode 170, welcome. The way this game works is in today's episode, Chadwick will be quizzing me specifically by reading the type copy from a print advertisement for an automobile from the 80s, 90s to mid 2000s. He's going to redact out anything super overly identifying, and it will then be my job to try and figure out within 3 guesses in 10 minutes the make, model, and approximate model year of the vehicle in the advertisement. If I guess and I get it wrong, I can get some sort of a hint, and yeah, that's kind of it. Play along. This is fun. I'm ready. Ish. Chadwick, what you got?
Let's do it, man. Let me try to read this bad boy. So first off, vehicle going through there's a lot of water around it, just going all over the place. Very cinematic. We got a 3/4 angle on the front driver's side, bright red in this one. So we will deliver on a red vehicle today. And it says, start making some waves right at the top.
Ooh, okay.
With its, you're going to be able to place the time period within the first 2 sentences, but let's just go for it. With its cool new look and refreshing new lines, this very special blank is making quite a splash. That's why the water reference. I get it, guys. We're funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, waves, splash.
It's making it, we get it. Introducing the new blank. It has the year. Well, it'd be blank, the year and the model. The world's first and only compact flare side.
Okay.
A true flare side with fluid styling that no one else can touch. The blank 4x2 hits the street with a special handling suspension, while the blank 4x4 takes to the road and off with the ease of push-button 4-wheel drive.
Ooh.
The new blank.
Wow.
It's a step up in compact pickups.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, there's
this is on the cheek here, or on the chin, if you will.
On the cheek, between the cheeks, really.
On the little sensitive hole.
Should that when and if eventually we do our Patreon and we get the secret episode, should we call it between the cheeks? between the cheeks with yeah, between 2 cheeks. Yes,
we absolutely should.
You'll be the left cheek, I'll be the right cheek.
Ooh, my strong cheek.
Yeah, grab my strong cheek. So
Hiawatha.
So okay, this one is light on tech spec,
sure,
but heavy
flavor text. Yeah,
the flavor crystals are intense. So if you know dumb shit from the I believe early 90s, and you're up on, God, there's so many little tidbits in here. Compact truck. Even before that, I was pretty sure what it was, and the compact truck really nailed it down.
Yeah.
So Ford of this era, and I don't think they do this now, but back when it was pretty common that on American trucks, and then later Japanese trucks, but specifically American trucks, for a long time, since the 60s, you can get a fleet side or you can get a step side. And that was how the world works.
That's it.
A lot of people are big step side fans because they like the styling better.
Mhm.
I never liked step sides.
Never.
I've always been fleet side guy.
Mhm.
Fleet side was more practical. You had a bigger bed.
Yep.
You had the wheelhouse for the rear within the bed versus the step side that's on the outside of the bed, right? And that was the nomenclature.
Mhm.
You had a step side and you had a fleet side. I don't care what the manufacturer is. You had a step side and a fleet side and a fleet side and a step side.
That was
Long
it.
bed, short bed. Those are the things. And then Ford had to get all fancy, and they decided to change the name on things. And so instead of a fleet side, you had a style side.
Mm.
You would think that the more stylish one was the step side, and that's why it was more popular. But they didn't call their step side the style side. The style side was the fleet side. And then you had the flare side, which I believe you mentioned in this ad.
I did mention that. The world's first and only compact flare side.
Flare side. That is Ford only nomenclature. It's infuriating. It's always bothered me if you can't tell, because I thought it was all very, very silly.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, okay, some manufacturer would call different things, right? Like Toyota, instead of calling it a hatchback, they would call it a liftback, right? Because, hatchback has this negative connotation, whatever. Don't care. This is just silly. And so Ford compact truck that was available. Also, not just, and so that's part of this, right? So it's a Ford Ranger is what I strongly feel like we're talking about here. Ford Ranger. But they also had with the waves and the kerplunking and making a splash. They had the splash trim level.
Great.
So this is a
great fucking.
I'm going to say, God, what was the first year of the flare side?
Oh, come on now.
In a Ford Ranger. Was this 1993?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 93 or 94. And talk about like when we're talking about the tracker trucks that look of the era.
Yeah.
You get, let's say, a teal or a magenta or a yellow, or in this case, a red Ford Ranger flare side splash. What a 90s experience. So I'm going to say this is a 1993 Ford Ranger splash flare side. I'm going to say the picture is of a 4-wheel drive model, but I can't tell. I'm picturing it has chrome wheels.
Yeah.
And the splash graphics, I think it was across the tailgate too, like a squiggle splash and like a 2-tone squiggle writing. Final answer, Bob.
All the splashes were flare side. This is a 1993 first year.
It is 93. Okay, cool.
Of the splash. This fucking pickup's hot. So I'll hold it up in front of the camera for all to view. Can we get autofocus?
Look how 90. It's going. It's even.
Look
it's
how
even
pretty that fucking truck is, bro.
It does have chrome wheels. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
dude, that's a good looking truck. That is a
good looking truck.
Great size. Can't buy that anymore.
Right. Although, have you seen all the hub, to go wildly, not wildly off topic, moderately off topic? Have you seen the hubbub with the Jeff Bezos backed slate truck thing? Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's interesting. The spy photos, I think if the bed was 3 feet longer, they'd be really onto something.
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know.
It ain't no Ford Ranger. I don't care.
It ain't no Ford Ranger, but it's supposed to be a $25,000 regular cab, a compact truck, which I am, in theory, deeply supportive of. I don't care if it's an EV.
It's got to have a utilitarian focused sized bed, would be my argument. Like, at least, what is it?
They should do both.
It
looks like a 4-foot bed.
They need a 6-footer.
They need a 4-foot, a 6-foot, and an 8-foot. That's what they should have. And whether they choose to produce one more than the other, immaterial, don't care.
Sure.
Because I do think there is a market for like a little courier truck. But also, if you had a regular cab with an 8-foot bed,
super crazy. Yeah.
And a 6 foot, like that would be sick.
A 6 foot's going to be the sweet
As a
spot for something
runaround?
small like that, but an
Yeah.
8 foot for construction and plywood, standardized,
For laying pipe.
2x4. Oh my God, you can put some pipe in there, baby. But
Yeah.
I love the Splash. They did have a few generations of the Splash.
Mhm.
And I think the one you're talking about with the bigger graphics came later, and most of those were like yellow, and they still looked great.
Yeah,
But
yellow
this one-
or the magenta
this
or
one
that like
looks-
light teal green.
Tell me this one doesn't look like a little pint-sized Lightning. First gen
That's
F-150
exactly
Lightning.
what I was going to say. Yeah,
Super,
it looks like it,
front end grill treatment, everything
Yep.
kind of taken from the
baby
Lightning.
Yeah,
These
what
are
a cool thing.
These are cool trucks, man.
Were those what motor did those come with?
I
Were
was
those
just gonna
either
ask.
the 4-liter and the 2.3?
I don't know if you could get the 4-liter in 93. Could you? The 4-liter came. I know they were in the second.
I don't
Like the
remember.
late 90s ones. Did they have the
I don't think
4-liter
it was
in
the
Rangers? 3-liter.
They
They had
did.
a 3-liter, didn't they?
You're right. They
V6?
had a 3-liter.
Mhm.
Earlier, you had the 2.9, which was kind of a pile of trash.
Absolutely.
I forgot you could get the 3-liter, and then later I think you can get I think for a minute you can get the 2.3 or the 3-liter or the 4-liter.
Yep, just like the Mazda pickup, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
the B4000.
I go 4-liter if
Yeah.
I'm going to pick the best all-time
Yeah.
Ranger motor.
Although give me that Lima 4-cylinder. The 2.3,
Yeah,
it's easy to
2.3's
work
robust,
on.
Yeah,
There was the annoying section where you had the twin plug ones for
Mm.
emission shit, which were
True.
fine, but like kind of some weirdness there. But yeah, they're good. they're good. That's why that truck was basically made from 93 to like 20 when they killed that thing off, 2012, something super late like that.
and then it came back.
Yeah, I don't like the new ones at all. I think they're garbage.
I'll take a Ranger Raptor if I have to. But honestly, these things were cool back in the day because for hunting and fishing, you could get down a much narrower trail than like an F-150.
Yep.
So they were super cool for that. But yeah, I love, and I'm still in love with the idea of a single cab truck right now. Something simple.
Dude, they look
something
so
manual.
good.
I'm just
They look
into
so
it.
good.
Yeah, agree. I'm feeling it. Good job, man. I knew you were going to get that
parallel
one.
parking a single cab truck is great.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. And
Dude,
it's so
like,
cool.
oh,
Just
right
open
there.
up the back, grab whatever you need out of the bed. It's such a way to live, dude.
Grab a cold beer.
Yeah, or throw your empties right back there.
Mhm. Yeah, vomit from blowing like a point 0.23 on a breathalyzer while bounding down the highway and going 47 in a school zone at 2:51 p.m. on a Tuesday. The American dream.
That was
really.
a little too specific. But you ever think anyone threw up in the back of
I'm
their
getting
splash
afflicted.
through the window and said, "Didn't see that splash coming"?
That's right.
I hope
Just
they
kidding.
have.
Yes, I did. Here comes another one.
That's why we named it, sir. Let's celebrate with drugs, like we do
Oh man.
around these parts. PCP is our drug of choice. It is Project Car Progress.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, man. So I referred to it like 3 episodes ago now at this point. Yeah, I did some very unsafe stuff, but I'm super happy with the outcome. So at
puking into the back of your single cab pickup
that's
truck
it. It
while
was a
driving
1993
drunk at a school
Ford
zone.
Ranger
Yeah.
Splash.
Mhm.
But so the new place, man, we just have the garage up front. I put the Corvette in there because the Corvette doesn't run. It was way easier to unload the tow truck, put it right in the garage. The house does have side access, and I'm gonna eventually build a shop. But there's no way he was gonna drop the fucking Corvette and try to meander it up that little through the gate. So I'm like, dude, I got to work on this tracker. I'm not doing it outside. I'm too old for this shit. So I'm like, I got to get the Corvette that doesn't run down a very steeply, angled driveway and then kind of get it way off to the right to go through the side access.
Sure.
Cool. With a car that doesn't run, not so cool. What do I have for my tow rig? So here's the other issue. This is a puzzle, Frank, and I need to visualize this.
Okay.
And I need everyone listening because this is good. This is good visualization. Is whatever we park in order, right? Whatever I put tow with that Corvette, like tow, it's going to be stuck
has to
behind
stay ahead of it. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And I have a tracker in the garage. I have a S10 Blazer that's going to be worked on next. The S10 Blazer, of course, you tow your Corvette with your Blazer, right?
Of course.
Nope, couldn't do it. So what do you use instead? If you're a real car guy, you've done this. You've towed your ZR1 Corvette with your Galant VR4. You know you have. Yeah,
Famously.
you have.
Mhm.
Dude, that transmission made some angry noises because it
Oh
was up a
no.
hill from a dead stop. Not bad. So that thing
Yeah.
has that racing clutch in it. God bless.
Oh.
And it's already wants to stall without any load. But
Mhm.
some reason having a load on it made the clutch way more usable. So I was able to like kind of modulate, but we had to go up and down a few times turning the wheel to get the angle right. Because when you're
Oh
towing,
yeah.
yeah, you don't, it doesn't work like you think,
With a
right?
strap. Yeah.
And the ZR1, the Galant, excellent tow points, right? It's a rally car. The
Mhm.
ZR1, which you think would have awesome tow points, has none. There is
Yeah.
nothing on, and it's the rear of the vehicle I was pulling. So I
Mhm.
had to like wrap it basically around the rear, like subframe componentry that was heavy enough to be
Yeah.
pulled.
Mhm.
But I just want to say my 200 horsepower Japanese rally car pulled my 375 horsepower American supercar, and the curb weights are probably super close on
You're
those two
right. Yeah, they're
cars.
probably about the same.
On a
Yeah.
hill from a dead stop.
There you go. Got it
Galant
done?
ZR4. Yeah,
Success?
got it. It took a lot of adjustments. So I put my wife in the car of the ZR1, turning a no no power
Mhm.
steering because the car wouldn't turn on. My son is our ground guide. 8-year-olds, fantastic.
Yes.
Not paying attention. He at one point he was riding my mechanic stool down the driveway, as
Brilliant.
8-year-olds do, right? Let's be
Uh-huh.
honest.
Yep.
So it was a good scene for all, and we eventually got it up there, and now it's there, and I have the tracker in the garage. So it was like it needed to be done, but boy, and we did it with a tow strap, of course, that I
Mhm.
bought from Amazon, definitely made in China.
Yeah.
So no risk there. But it was super fun to do, dude. It was pretty cool. And we hooked
Rad.
it diagonally when I had to change the angle. So I did a little bit of maths in there, but
Killer. All right. Progress is progress.
I have to be the first person that's ever towed a ZR1 with a VR4. I have to be.
Yeah. I think you're right there.
It's a weird
There you go.
statistic, but I'm gonna celebrate it.
Yes, you should. We should celebrate it.
How about you, my man?
What have I done? Let's see.
What have I done
The
today?
let's see, the crossfire's gone.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mm.
the I've done it. I remember. Okay, so on the Turbo Sprint,
Yes.
um, the front and rear bumper covers, and then the front grill.
Mm.
Not really a grill, but it's a grill. Were non-painted. They were just textured plastic.
Yep.
So somebody replaced them at one point, didn't paint them. And they also didn't paint. There's a separate little piece that snaps onto the hood and then the front bumper that are plastic. And those were also just bare plastic. So somebody replaced all of that at one point and didn't paint them. So I think it was done stylistically. The more I look at it, because it's like there's no damage. It didn't look like, I mean, those parts get chewed up and not hurt the rest of the car.
Oh, always.
But the fact also the grill was done like that, and that one little piece, the little intake where it says intercooler, was changed out and had a different intercooler label there. Truly makes me think that like it was done stylistically. And honestly, I like the look of it textured. But if I'm going to move it on and I'm going to like, I probably won't see the money back because I don't think it will have a huge impact on the value.
Mm-hmm.
But especially because it's white and it's got the white wheels, I think I needed to make it right. So I did.
Bumpers for sure.
It has now been painted. All of that. The little trim pieces, front bumper, grill, rear bumper, all painted to match.
Oh my God. I bet it looks like a whole different vehicle.
Yeah, it does. And now that it's done, I'm like, this is actually pretty good too. This actually looks pretty good with the white wheels and all that.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I do need to, so the intercooler logo that was on there, I don't know what it was from, but it wasn't a match. It wasn't the correct, because normally it's just a little logo. It just says intercooler in red with a little like
arrow, right?
Arrow.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a replacement one that was in the car when I bought it, ready to go, but it kind of got all crinkled up, and like because of that, like a couple of the letters are like off by like 3 degrees, and it looks a little wonky.
Yeah.
And so I think if I'll use that if it's completely unobtainable.
Right.
But this guy tracked this one down, so presumably I might be able to find another one, but it needs to be there. Like
100%.
Kind of is like that's like a calling card for the car.
Yep.
So I'm going to track that down. But the paintwork's done.
Dude.
and it looks pretty good. It's single stage white, so it wasn't terrible. All of that was like $600 to just get it done.
Dude, I think it's worth it. White, because white with black, it doesn't look as good.
I think it looked good, especially if it was just great. It was just great textured plastic. It wasn't black.
Fair enough, but like in the photos, it's
now that it looks right, it looks right.
Yeah,
and so I'm happy with the decision to do it. I need to get that. The only other really thing I really need to do on that car is the seats are in good shape, but on the driver's seat, on the inside vinyl on the side, it's good. The sides are vinyl. The faces are cloth, the cool gradient cloth. There's a big chunk. There's like maybe a dollar bill size chunk of that vinyl that's pulled back and the foam is exposed. Oh,
okay.
And so I just need to get that. I know a guy who will do it for probably not a bunch of money, probably like $125. He'll do the repair.
Oh, that's definitely worth it too. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I need to do that, and then that's kind of it. I might move it on at that point. Yes, no, you need to do your song and dance, and
we need to document that thing.
And Douglas has been bugging me. He's like, when you need to sell this car, you have to let me. He's like, I'm begging you to let me.
Should I sell him my instrumented test so he can incorporate that into his Doug score?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I'm genuinely, though, to be honest with you, Frank, one of my favorite things, especially these cars like this, like to see what the actual curb weight is and see what the performance is today. Because it's you don't know, and I tested with actual equipment, so it's really fun.
I have to say, it feels. I don't know what the numbers will be, and I'm not saying it feels fast.
Yeah,
but it feels closer.
I love this.
It feels closer to double 70 horsepower than it feels to 70 horsepower.
No shit.
And it's a function of it being probably 1,600 pounds.
Okay, before I review, I'm going to check your intake for a tornado because I feel like
it might have
the tornado.
Not just a tornado in there, but it also might have some of those magnets that you stick on the fuel line to like whatever, like positively ionize the incoming fuel. And
all I can think of is ICP.
Carbons
I can just think of ICP magnets. How the fuck do they work?
And I don't want to hear from those scientists. Y'all motherfuckers lying and making me pissed. Yes.
But you've said. Yes. I'm curious. I'm curious to see the curb weight and performance. I think that's so fun with these cars that who knows.
So, friend of the pod, Jay and Amelia, friends of the pod, if you will. On Once Upon a Time, Amelia was texting me that we should organize a rally to the gathering of the Juggalos, and I don't think it's a bad. I mean, it's inarguably a bad idea.
Someone is gonna die,
but it's such a good idea.
No, someone's gonna die. Someone's gonna die. Have you ever watched what goes on?
I assume methamphetamines.
You're not ready.
Fago.
You're not ready for the dark circus, my friend. Because Great Malenko.
I thought it was Dark Carnival. I actually don't know.
It probably is. I'm dead already.
Oh, Great Malenko, rest in peace. Right? Was he the one that would just dance on stage and smoke? Oh no, that was
an album. That was an album.
Oh, I was. Oh, you know what? I was thinking
of back like a vertebrae. Let's go.
Well, I was thinking of the guy who was. I got my.
Now you just died. We both.
No,
died.
Who was the guy that kind of looked like a mummy? And would just smoke blunts and dance a robot on stage with the Cottonmouth Kings.
I've had like two.
I thought his name was like the Grand.
Two uncles that fit that description.
Yes, Uncle the Great Malenko or whatever you call him. I don't even know.
Okay. We'll have an ICP. We should have an ICP deep dive. Man, imagine if we time out. What if we could score? What if we could score one of them as a guest? Oh, and they were like super, but what they're super into fucking shitty cars like us, and we were like, we'll get
Violent J, and it's all going to be shitty American stuff because they're from Detroit.
Yeah, but dude, how cool would that be? That would be life changing. That'd be amazing.
Yes, we need to. We need to get. What's the other one's name? Something two-tone, something like that. Not Tommy Two-Tone. That was 567-867-5309.
He says everything two times. Tommy Two-Time.
No, that was Eddie the Echo from the old McDonald's commercials. That's yet a different character. But
we've lost.
Yeah, we need to get one of them. We need to get Brian Nesbitt on the pod.
Oh,
we need to. We've got some One day, once we score our Rock Auto and Ling Long sponsorships,
Oh, dude.
we will start getting the big fish in here. Um, boy. Well,
Yep.
you got any parting thoughts here, my friend?
Yeah, go buy a Geo. You know,
Yes. Support your local Geo.
Yeah, support your local Geo dealership. Running out of the back shed behind any Chevy dealership. Go ahead, dude. Try to collect them all. And if you have, please comment.
Mhm.
You'll be a guest. If you've collected every Geo make
Oh, yes.
and model during that entire 8-year run, let me know.
That's like
And I
that's
want
like
to
the
know.
one guy, the
Oof.
one guy who has the entire 1993 Acura lineup, right?
Very
Have you seen
comparable.
that guy?
Yes, I have.
Oh
Yes, I
man,
have.
what a
Vigors,
what a
Legends,
what a
NSXs.
what a G. So do that with Geos, somebody, the real G for Geo,
Yeah.
and then we'll get you on the pod. You and um whatever, what Violent J will be on
Yep.
together.
Yep.
So let's do that. Keep listening. So
Please.
keep doing this.
Yeah.
Do the rating thing. Allegedly, that helps us in ways that no one's been able to explain to me.
Right.
So do the rate and review thing. Follow us on the YouTube if you're not already. If you are, hi. I will. Should
Hi,
I
guys.
show? No. Hi. And then also
Nipple free for now.
for now, yes, that's once we get the OnlyFans going. That will be good. And harass us publicly on the Instagram at APA Podcast. I'm Frank. I'm at the Photographer's Garage on things. Chadwick, you got anything boiling and broiling in your loins?
Hi, yeah, always. We talked about this last time, the rainforest ecosystem.
Mhm.
But I'm still Chadwick. Definitely Auto Obscure Garage is your place to go for your rescues,
Right.
restorations,
The
and
name's
reviews.
changing.
Usually pretty interesting cars. I'm gonna start doing some obscure shorts, and it's not just the
Oh,
clothing I wear with the
right. I
cutout
was going to
crotch.
say
But
like
every
hot
time,
pants.
it's crotchless. It's always crotchless.
Mhm.
The best breathing you can get on the market. But yeah, I'm gonna probably roll some shorts. We'll try that. But anyway, yeah, we got guys. We really freaking appreciate it, man. We have a blast doing this. We hope you guys
Yeah.
enjoy it. Also, any topic ideas, leave some comments on YouTube or anywhere you can, or reach out to us on Instagram for sure. If you want to have us cover something neat, because sometimes like really good ideas come in that way that we're not thinking about, and that'd be
Yes.
a blast to entertain some of those
Seed
requests.
us.
Yeah.
Go full Peter North and just seed our existence.
Why'd you go there? I would have taken around Jeremy.
Oh no, he's even more canceled than Peter. I don't
That's
know if Peter North canceled. Ron Jeremy's the most amount of canceled.
That you
He's like
can
Epstein
even
levels of
cancel.
canceled.
Weird that you can even
hedgehog?
cancel cancel a porn star from that period of time. Like they should be untouchable. But anyway,
Like he entered the scene by like self sucking while like watching a chick through binoculars. Like that's how he came on the, no pun intended, came on the scene.
you did say came on the scene.
Yeah, and I haven't watched enough to figure out if he did, but yeah, like, and to be like, oh, he's gone too far,
dude, he was great.
But he definitely did. He's a monster, and he should die in prison.
He was
And
great
thankfully
in
he will.
Boondock Saints, though, so I'll give him that. Fantastic.
Boy,
He got killed. He got killed in a
pretty
porn
sure
theater. If you haven't seen that
Oh,
movie,
well.
goddamn you! That's my every St. Patty's Day I watch that film.
I'm pretty no. I've seen Boondock Saint. Is that the one where he like he fucking kills a guy by like throwing the fucking toilet out the window, whatever?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
yeah, it's been I think I saw that in high school, and
This big freaking guy.
yeah, yeah. Anyways, be way better than Ron Jeremy. Goodbye.
In some ways, in other ways, don't try to compare yourself to superheroes.
Yeah, never hedge your own hog.
Love you guys. Take care.
Toodaloo.
Goodbye.